Thank you everybody for joining us. This is No Network, No Problem, Utilizing the Cloud. I am Scott Woods, Senior Product Manager here at Hawk Ridge Systems, and I manage 3D Experience, PDM, and our SOLIDWORKS Technical Communications Suite. I've been with Hawk Ridge for just over 13 years and using SOLIDWORKS for about 20. With me on the line here is Todd Dumke. He's the SOLIDWORKS Services Jedi, and Todd, that's your official title now, so it's official.
Good.
Right this
I like
second.
it. It's got a nice ring. I didn't get the memo. I've been promoted to Jedi, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I've been in product management using 3D Experience platform for about 5 or 6 years now. Now I've moved over to the services side where I help our new customers get started on the right foot, make sure they're successful with their implementations on the platform.
Awesome. Okay, well let's get started here. What is 3D Experience? So if you think about 3D Experience as an operating system, it starts to make a lot more sense, and that's really because it is an operating system. So if you take like Windows, for example, we have, everybody knows Windows operating system. There's many other operating systems, and but with Windows, you have SolidWorks installed. You got your browsers. You got apps. I just have a few common apps here, applications installed, and then something like Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop is technically cloud software, but it actually installs on your computer. It runs, your computer's doing all the processes for it, and it's licensed via cloud. So there's like two different kinds of cloud software. There's the ones that install locally but are licensed on the cloud, so you still need internet to use it. But then you also have applications that run in the cloud, run right within a browser, which kind of brings us to 3D Experience. So you look at 3D Experience compared to Microsoft Windows, and it's very similar. We have this online cloud-based operating system, and in this operating system, we have applications. And this is a list I just threw together. That list is like, I don't know the exact number, but let's say 30 times bigger, maybe even more than that. So there's a ton of applications that are residing in the 3D Experience platform. Some of them are totally browser-based, so you have to have an internet connection. You're in the browser to use them, and then there's some apps that actually install locally, where it's licensed through the cloud, but it's actually running off your machine. And a lot of these tools in the cloud, I mean, there are what are called X apps. They're actually CAD-based tools in your browser for doing things like, complex organic design and 3D modeling and mold and sheet metal. The list goes on and on. What we're talking about today is going to be what I'm referring to as the PDM, 3D Experience PDM. Which really is the foundation for 3D Experience. So if you think about 3D Experience, it's this operating system. At its foundation, it is a PDM system. And in the future, you could do a whole lot more with it. But let's simplify it, and let's break it down to its bare basics here, where we're going to take this cloud tool that's going to pull data from SOLIDWORKS and put it onto the cloud. And then from there, we can do your basic data management. And the best thing about this all is it syncs with SOLIDWORKS. So anything you do in 3D Experience is going to reflect in SOLIDWORKS. Anything you do in SOLIDWORKS is going to be reflected in 3D Experience. So, so what is 3D Experience PDM? Just like the job title I gave Todd, this is very unofficially the PDM powered by 3D Experience. So I like to call it it's cloud-based PDM powered by 3D Experience, because that's exactly really to me what makes a lot of sense. And so it's cloud storage and secure data management. There's an add-in right in SOLIDWORKS for connecting SOLIDWORKS with this PDM system. So it is installed locally as well, like the add-in for SOLIDWORKS that you can, do your reserve and unreserve, check in, check out, lock, unlock, whatever you want to call it. It's that getting the file, locking it down so nobody else can work on it and vice versa. So only one person's making modifications at any given time. There's basic revision management. So you're going to say, hey, it's Rev A. Now I'm going to bump it to Rev B. I'm going to bump it to Rev C. Oh, no, I need to bring it back to Rev A. Or I'm working on Rev A. I didn't reserve it. Somebody else has bumped it to Rev C or Rev B. I can replace that revision. So it gives you all that basic, what you would expect from a PDM system. And then also for maturity lifecycle management. So we're going to take your files through a 5-step system from in work to released, and we can create paths for that to go back from like release to in work if we wanted to, things like that. Now I'm using the word basic there because this is really intended to be out of the box, simple to use, and it's either a really good fit, or maybe it doesn't have enough customization for you. We're right now recommending it for smaller teams, so maybe around 5 to 8 users or so, and we're not really saying that this is intended to replace your PDM Pro vault that you have right now. It's not what we're saying. We're saying if you don't really have a PDM system, this might be a really good fit for you. Okay, so last slide here. What is the cloud good for? So if you aren't real familiar with that terminology yet, it reduces, like if you're utilizing the cloud, it's going to be reducing your IT hardware needs. So that's like that server room. In the office, the server room, all the machines, all the wires, all the network required. Everybody has to be in the office. It's eliminating that hardware requirement and putting it on the cloud. So that's a big one. That's probably number one on the list. Why you would want to go cloud. Processing speeds. So when you're working off your machine, your machine is doing all the work. It's being taken up for whatever task you're doing. If you're using cloud-based software, especially browser-based, those processes are done on cloud servers, not on your machine. And so you can offload stuff like rendering and things like that. So your machine isn't doing the work, and you can use it for other things. Ability to work from anywhere in the world. I think we can all relate to that over the last 2 years, right? It's as long as you have an internet connection, you are mirroring that in the office work environment where everybody used to be together and and be able to connect and share files and everything and connect it to the server and all whatnot. It's mirroring that environment just with the internet connection from any place in the world. And then additional to that, just to tag on to that, is to share those designs with anybody that you give access to with the internet connection. And that's online banking level security. So if you trust your bank accounts, if you use online banking, which I do, I'm sure a lot of us do, it's that same level of security for your CAD files. Okay, so now let's show the SOLIDWORKS interface a little bit here. So I think everybody knows what they're seeing at this point, right? It's SOLIDWORKS. What we have is we have a new tab on the right, and this is the SOLIDWORKS 3D Experience add-in. So it's that add-in that's going to connect SOLIDWORKS to 3D Experience and 3D Experience back to SOLIDWORKS. And we got the status here, which is basically going to give us some nice icons that say, hey, what is going on with this design? Have you made changes locally that you haven't saved back to the platform? Has in the vault, is that file a newer version that you have currently open? Or, best case scenario, both of them are synced together. And so whatever you're working on your computer is the same one that's in the cloud. Just going down the list here: reserve, unreserved, check in, check out, lock, unlock. Yeah, very, very clear results here, right? So you say if you have a big red lock, it is locked down by somebody else. You're not going to be able to make modifications to it. If you have a green key, you are editing this. It is yours. Also means that if somebody else needs to work on it, they can't because you got the key, right? You gotta unreserve that. The gray is it's free for anybody to grab that has access. Okay, current revision, list the current revision, and the current maturity state. Now I want to call this one out a little bit, or actually both of these out a little bit here, because we're working in two different worlds. So what I'm about to show a little bit later is the browser-based 3D Experience platform. So we have our SOLIDWORKS-based platform that's in SOLIDWORKS with this add-in, and then we have the one in the browser, and you can do the same tasks in both. So I know as an engineer, most of us want to stay in SOLIDWORKS. You don't want to go into this browser and do all the admin stuff. It's totally cool. You can bump the revision. You can change the lifecycle here. You can replace with revision, check in, check out, everything that you need to get your job done. And that's all within SOLIDWORKS without even having to worry about that operating system in the background doing its thing. You're in SOLIDWORKS. Okay, so let's do that. Let's switch over to SOLIDWORKS here. Oops. And we got SOLIDWORKS. So here is my assembly, and when you look over at the right, we have our tab. Here's the add-in, and this is going to be laid out exactly how you would expect, right? You have your SOLIDWORKS assembly with all your parts, and over here you have that's mirrored. You have some status saying, I currently have it reserved. The version that I have right now is the same one online. Here's the revision. What's the maturity status? When you look over in this list, there is more to be found, and then also there is more that can be added, right? So we can customize these columns to add whatever information properties that we want. Now, if I were to open up one of these, let's just actually before I do that, let me reserve it, because this is a little gotcha here, right? Where if I make any modifications to this, and let's show that actually. If I like hide the lid, you'll see on the tree here, technically I made a change to this assembly. I just hit a part, but technically that is a change. Let's hide this guy so you can actually see the frames within the box here. And you'll see, hey, I've modified it, but I can't actually, if I wanted to save these changes, I couldn't actually save that back to the cloud because I don't have it reserved. So you'd want to just click that and say reserve, and I'm taking ownership of this assembly. And so now if I wanted to, my changes I just made, I could save that back to the vault. So next time I open it, I see the latest adjustments. But what I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and open up this hive. And let's talk a little bit about the anatomy of a beehive. So this is a learning event, right? So let's learn something. So if you guys aren't familiar with honeybees, it's a very, very basic system. They're very simple creatures to care for if you know what they need. And really what they need is they need two different sizes of what are called the brood box, or the supers, short for superstructures. So you have your deep superstructures. That's where the queen will, this one's on the bottom, that's where the queens will go and lay their eggs. It's where they'll put food and pollen, and they feed the babies, and they raise the brood, they raise the young. Then you have smaller boxes that go on top of them, and they're either referred to as honey supers or medium supers. And so what they do typically, and every situation is a little bit different depending on how you want to set it up, but this is where the honey goes, and this is where you harvest the honey. So there's a little screen in there to keep the queen out from laying eggs, and you come in here and you can harvest the honey, and that's the setup I prefer when I do my bees. I'll take care of them. But we have this. Let's go ahead and close it down. But anyway, so we have this. The structure, right? And what I want to do is I want to make an adjustment to this for, that actually we can show how we can make an adjustment and save it back to the cloud. Where there's so I'm trying to explain this, right? Because there's a lot about bees, right? I'm thinking, okay, well, why do I have to make an adjustment here? So these frames fit into this box, and the bees actually will go through and they'll start gluing stuff. So they use a glue that they make. It's called propolis. They make it from different kinds of saps and whatnot, different kind of plants. and they will glue everything together. And when you go to take it apart, it's a complete nightmare. So something like this, where this frame has to fit into the box, you really want it to have a little bit of room there, because when they glue it, if it's too tight, you're never going to get it out. So let's make a little change. So we have it reserved. And all I want to do is I just want to reduce the size of this a little bit. So we'll go through, and let's say that I just want to take this down, maybe like, I don't know, 0.125 or something, just a hair, just because I want to be able to remove it once we're done. And you'll see here, once I made the change, it gives me a notification saying, hey, this file has been modified in this session. The latest version is not on the cloud. Go back to the medium super here, and that's what it's telling me here, that, hey, I modified one of this frame. This is the copy of all the frames. So all of these have been modified. Technically, the assembly hasn't been modified yet, but we probably want to check that back in as well. Going back to the top level assembly, we get the same kind of feedback. And so you see it trickles all the way upstream to the top level, just like any PDM system would handle this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show my components that I hid. And now that I had made a change to this, I'm going to go ahead and check this back into the vault. Just like that, we'll say, okay, all the changes I made, I'm going to put this back in the 3D Experience cloud-based PDM vault. At this point, I could give it a new revision. I want to show a different way to do that, but if I wanted to, I could say, oh, let's go ahead and revision. That's going to bump it from Rev A to Rev B, and at any time I could go back to Rev A if I wanted to by replace with revision. But I'm going to go ahead and just check that back in, and I'll show a couple ways to do this here. Okay, so we've checked it back into the vault, and you'll see that the key is still reserved by me, and you'll see that the files, the file that I have on my machine is the same one that's on the 3D Experience platform. And let's pop over to that. Okay, so what you're seeing right now is the browser-based 3D Experience platform. And what you have here is that entire structure. So, I have my my entire structure inside of SOLIDWORKS that's been saved to the vault, and I can see that here in the browser. So let's say we have somebody who just wants to quickly get in here, or they don't have access to SOLIDWORKS, more of an admin role for maybe PDM or for this project. They can actually look at this and they can see the full breakdown of that hide. They can, we have a little player over here. We can drag and drop that in. We can get a full preview. There's the ability to mark up and to do cutaway sections. And there's even like a online community where, like internal community, you can post images there and comment about it and kind of talk about design changes. The looking down the list here, we just have our sub-assemblies and parts, and I got a drawing right there. I can drag and drop that in. But what I wanted to show here is that I can take this drawing and I can bring it into SOLIDWORKS from the platform. And what we're looking at is we're actually looking at what are called bookmarks. So these are shortcuts. So I have this this bucket, right? This in the cloud, and all of my designs are going into this bucket. So when I go to that directory and you look, and you can get overwhelmed, like, hey, there's so many drawings, there's so many parts, or like, what's going on? Well, we structure this pretty easily into projects and then identify what is important in those projects and just point right to them. So we got these shortcuts, but these shortcuts can be used like that. So I can drag and drop it directly into SOLIDWORKS. I can drag and drop it directly in any program within 3D Experience, the browser-based platform as well, which I'll show here in a second. But check this out. So, I drag that into SOLIDWORKS. I get this nice, easy way to open up the correct drawing. I know I'm opening the right one because I'm linking to the exact one that I want. And I'll look over on the side here. You'll see that Let me just minimize this a little bit so you can see more here. We'll see that this is actually in a release state. So if I went to go, hey, it's not reserved, so I'm going to reserve it, it's going to pop up and say, you can't proceed forward. So it's actually stopping me. So it's doing its job here. It's saying you can't proceed forward because this is in a release state, and that's the rules you had set up. If it's released, then you can't actually like modify it, so you can't reserve it. So what I can do, and if I want to reserve it, I can either bump that back if I can create a lifecycle tool to bump that back to in work, or I could give it a another revision. So let's show how that would be done. So I can say, yep, here's my drawing. I can give it another revision, and that's going to bring it past, out of that release state into in work with a new revision. And that's where we go back and make that make additional modifications to the drawing. Cool. Okay, and there we go. And now I can reserve it, just like that. So I've changed the revision, got it reserved. I can make all my adjustments, save it back to the cloud. But check this out. This is one really cool thing I want to show here, where I can take my drawing. By the way, I switched back to the cloud-based PDM, and right now that was H.1. I just did a little refresh, and now it's I.1. So you see how everything keeps that link. So I'm in SOLIDWORKS. I give it in the new revision. I go back to my cloud-based 3D Experience platform for PDM, and you'll see that it's linked up. So that is the current drawing. So now when I drag and drop that into SOLIDWORKS or wherever else, it's going to have that latest revision. Such as if I were to drag it up here and pop it in what's called the product structure explorer, and oops, let's do that's the drawing. I didn't mean to take the drawing. Let's take the full hive. So I take this guy here, drag it in, and you can take a look at that entire structure for the hive. And this is just another tool in the platform that we can use as if we were in SOLIDWORKS. So again, we can see the full structure, the assembly, properties of that. You can see where if there's any revision notes or metadata coming from SOLIDWORKS, and we can easily see all that information. We can do some editing here as well for like the file name that's inside of 3D Experience. Okay, and last thing I want to show here is that we can take our drawing, bring it into like our life cycle, and then from our life cycles here, we can see all the steps that has gone through. Come in and I can see like the properties of this guy here, maybe for some revision notes, like what happened at that stage. And you can type in little notes, just give yourself some indication of, what changed at that point. Why did it go from release back to in work? And this can all be done here. So for instance, I have this in work I1 revision that I'm working on, and I bumped that from SOLIDWORKS. I could go back into SOLIDWORKS. I could go back into the lifecycle management there, and I could release it. I could revise it. I could do whatever I want. But I can come here and I can say released here as well. I've now changed that to release drawing, and it's like one of those things. Like where do you want to do the work? Do you want to do it in the browser platform? Do you want to do it in SOLIDWORKS? You have both choices. Okie dokie. So just some highlights here. So kind of like what I found to be the most important like takeaways from this session. So for one, the 3D Experience application is an add-in for SOLIDWORKS. I saw a question pop up a little bit back. I don't know if Todd answered or not. Sorry, I just kind of caught my eye there, where it was asked, what do we do if we have no internet connection? Well, it's a great question. With this, you only need that internet connection when you are opening drawings from the 3D Experience from the Cloud Vault, right? And so if you need to get it on your computer, you can go grab it there. Now, once you grab it, it stores it in a local cache folder. So you actually have a folder on your machine that mirrors all the files that are in 3D Experience. And so you can use that to. Sorry, we have some a lot of background noise here. I'm not sure whose mic, but could somebody mute their mic, because I think we got some background. Thank you. And so there's so the add-in for Sol. Oh, sorry. So we have all the files in that cache folder, and you're actually working from that cache folder. So say like you go in, you grab those files, and your internet goes down. It doesn't matter. It's okay. You have that backup in the cache folder. It is SOLIDWORks. You can utilize, you can use those files just like you would ever with SOLIDWORks. Make modifications. But the thing is, to put those back into the vault, you will need an internet connection. So if you know if you're going on a little road trip or something, you'll get the files, work on them, come back, upload them. So there are ways to get around that. It's an add-in for SOLIDWORks where you can do all that work directly from the application. Easy reserve and unreserve of drawings, assemblies, and parts. So we can come in here and just get real good indication of who's working on it, if you have it checked out or not. Now, let's say that somebody did reserve an assembly and then they disconnected their machine from the internet. It's okay. When you go into the browser or into SOLIDWORks and you say, hey, I want to reserve that, it will say it is reserved because they reserved it before they shut off the internet. And so 3D Experience platform knows that they're the owners of that, and vice versa. The revise and replace, this is or replace with revision. These are all built right into SOLIDWORks. So it's not like you have to go into the browser platform to do that, right? So right within SOLIDWORks, you can say, hey, there is a newer version on the cloud, or an older revision or something, and you can replace that, what you're currently working on. The maturity states the exact same way. There's a tool in there where you can just bump it, release it, or maybe make it private because you're going to be working on it. You're just like, hey, let's take this behind the scenes a little bit because there's some major work we need to do. Okay, and I think another really important point, and I know I've said this a few times, but it's just really important to point out here, is that you really have two different tools that you're that you can use to get your work done, right? So you can go into SOLIDWORks. You have all the tools that a typical engineer would need to do their work, to manage that life cycle without actually ever having to go into the browser and use those tools. Now, in the browser, with that said, in the browser, there's more you can do, right? You can do more admin stuff. There's actual CAD tools that are on the platform. My favorite thing, my favorite one is 3D Sculptor, where you can actually take like a digital ball of clay and sculpt this. You might have seen some of my presentations on that, but you can make this really cool like organic shape and then bring that back into SOLIDWORks. So it's really awesome. But so two parts here. One, SOLIDWORks has it all, but then two, there's this whole world on 3D Experience that you're kind of getting into. And I think the PDM portion of this really is that like gateway, right? So you're like connecting your files, you got them online. Now you have this foundation ready for the future. If you ever want to go that direction, you can. If you just want to stick with PDM, cool. That works too. But you're there, you're ready for it when it comes in the future. Okay, and then of course the biggest thing, that's why we named it, is no network, no problem. That's really it's all about hardware, right? Your hardware will never be outdated. Um, After I wrote that, I'm thinking, well, I mean, eventually your computer is going to be outdated. But the thing is, like, especially with these cloud-based CAD tools, I mean, you could use your phone or an iPad or whatever it is. So, it's like as long as you have um, a means to have a browser, then your hardware will never be outdated. Your local machine running SOLIDWORKS, eventually you probably want to get that, but you don't have to worry about the servers. You don't have to worry about all the wires and the connection of the routers and all that stuff. You just need the internet connection and the ability to work from anywhere in the world that has a internet connection. And then going back to hardware, the no need for that space, that room to house all of that. Okay, so I am going to run one last poll here if I can. I started at the beginning, so I don't even know if it will let me. So I think I can add one. So just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to re-add it, and I'm just going to say yes and no. I had some more uh, detailed responses, but we'll just keep it simple. So just a last poll here, just to see. Now that you've seen this, would you be interested in seeing more presentations around the developing 3D Experience platform? As it comes to life and as more stuff is added, I'd really like to be able to present that, but I want to make sure everybody's interested in seeing that. So that's what this last poll is for. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end that now. And everybody said yes. Awesome. So I'd like to see that. That's perfect. Cool. Okay, so now, sorry if I missed any questions. I think Todd was handling everything behind the scenes here. We're going to open up for some Q&A.
Yeah. Hey, Scott, I got a good one. Just while
Yeah.
Can we get a look at your working folder or cache folder just to kind of see what the idea of a local local view looks like?
Absolutely. Let me see if I can. Nope, I don't have a folder open. Let me do that right here.
And set the columns up. Yeah. So it's just installed right. You during the installation you tell your system where you want your cache folder to be or your local folder, and then you can kind of see it. It looks like PDM. Scott, can you sort it and show details? So you can even get, cloud information there, of who's got it reserved, what state it's in, what revision it's at. So, and this is just looking. So again, when you want to get to work and you search for something on the platform, you find it on the platform, you download it, it gets loaded to this folder and then opened in SOLIDWORKS, so you're working locally.
Yep.
Thanks, Scott. I was trying. It's hard to explain, but so we wanted to just get a good peek at it there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I was kind of explaining that a little bit too, and it's like sometimes you just got to show it, but it really is your offline version of the vault. So it's a direct mirror of what's in 3D Experience, and but you can, like Todd was saying, you can see the status too, right? This is just temporary files, but you can see the status of if one of these said, hey, the version that's on the cloud is newer than the one you have, you'd want to replace that. So to grab the latest copy and
right. And you can manually manage it. You can clear everything out and just download fresh copies from the cloud at any time, or you can keep, if you're going to be working on something for a few weeks, just leave it in there. You can add stuff to it and then upload from that folder onto the platform. It's just a folder basically.
Yep. Awesome. Was there any other questions that came in that you weren't Jedi skilling the
I get behind? Not too bad. Appreciate the engagement, everyone. These are really good questions. What would we say, Scott, to someone who wants to get their hands on this to get started?
So for getting started with 3D Experience, I mean, first thing we'd want to do is have a conversation of just saying, what are your needs? How many people you want? There's kind of like different levels. There's if you think about it in like two levels. So you have the level of, hey, say you got 5 users. Three of them are engineers who are going to be in SOLIDWORKS. They don't care about the browser stuff. They just need to be able to check in, check out, and do their thing. That's like level 2. So they have the ability to do everything in SOLIDWORKS and also go in the browser if they wanted to and do it. But let's say somebody just said, you know what, I'm not even a SOLIDWORKS user, or maybe this is just 2 other users, and we just need to go in there. We need to make sure the project's, plugging along and everything's going to be on time. And I need to take a look at who currently has it checked out, or whatever the case is, right? There's a lot of reasons for that. They just need level 2, which is a cheaper solution, right? So we kind of fill that out and say, what do you need? And we'll get you started and make sure that you're only paying for, the level that you require. But yeah, that's typically how that process goes. But if you're interested, just let us know, and we'll definitely connect with you and get that process started. Todd, do you know if there's got to be a way through this interface here where they have direct connection to us, or you can always just email me. I'll just type it right here. Might be easier, right?
Right.
And that is my email right there. So if you want more information or you're interested in taking a deeper look, send me an email and I'll definitely connect with you, and we'll do like a one-on-one session or whatever you need. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. Anthony asked if if any of the components of the 3D Experience platform are included in subscription. There are some offers out there. When you purchase SOLIDWORKS, you can get some platform components or roles along with it. That would all just depend on, what you purchased at the time. You can definitely get a 3D Experience ID. You can just sign up and get a 3D Experience ID and start participating in some of the communities online, without even having any software, just doing the browser-based stuff, and you can ramp up from there.
Okay, so it is just about 12:40, and what we'll do is we'll just hold off for about 5 minutes and see if any more questions come in, but we're not going to go anywhere. But I just want to verify, Todd, we answered all the questions that came in?
So far.
Okay, awesome. Cool. So we'll just hang tight here and it's at 12:45, and we'll wrap it up if there's no more questions. But yeah, feel free to ask anything you want. This is a good time to get any questions that you have, out there, and we'll definitely address them.
Like you said, Scott, and we really, in these last 18 months or so, I mean, just that big benefit of not needing your own infrastructure, your own servers and VPNs and all that stuff that you need an IT department to set up for you and spend money on. And you literally just plug in and you're up and running. You literally just log in and you have a PDM system, just like that, and secure cloud storage, all of that.
And the time it takes for that to happen is really impressive too. I've noticed that. I was, for instance, I was with a customer. So we're on the phone, and there's an agreement you have to sign in order to. It's just like a software agreement, right? So to actually get it set up, and we were supposed to have a meeting to show, just to like kick off and show the ins and outs of the platform. And they forgot to sign that agreement. And so we're on the phone, and they're like, oh, we'll sign it now. So they signed it. And I was going to say, okay, well, let's reschedule this for tomorrow. And it was literally like 5 minutes, and they logged in and their tenant was set up. So I mean, it was
just like that. Right. You think of a PDM implementation, there's a lot of stuff going on. even on the hardware side before you even start, thinking about what software you're going to install.
Yep. And it's like, okay, I agreed to it. Boom. 5 minutes later, you got PDM.
Okay, here we go.
And yeah. And you upload your files and check in, check out, and all that. That just it's just a really it's a really solid and simplified PDM tool, which I really like because I've been in this business for a long time, and I've never been that PDM guy. I've never been that, hey, I'm gonna teach you everything about PDM Pro that you need to know. It's not me. It's like I learned what I need to know, and any more than that is like this is just too much data management. I need something simple, and that's what this is, right? So it's the ability to securely manage your files, so we're not stepping on toes, and we're not producing, 5 different sources of truth, and
right there,
keeping it simple at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think that wraps it up. If no more questions are coming in, and thanks everybody for attending, and there's still the ending session that we're going to have here. So. Cool. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Unless you want to add anything more, Todd?
Nope, I got it. Thanks for thanks everyone for attending.
We did get a question that came in there. Is there a price list for the different levels? Absolutely, we can provide that for you. Let me just write down your name there so I can get you. No, we can get you that for sure.
There's a lot of offerings, and it really depends on how involved you want to be and what you want to do.
Yep, exactly. And that's what I was saying. We really want to connect together and see, okay, what do you need? And then it'll be like, here's the different levels, here's the prices, and then mix and match, and we can figure that out.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Travis,
certain people in your company may need to use SolidWorks with it. Other people may just need access for the management part of it or design review. It just really, really depends.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for coming, everyone.